is Abby Johnson with Webper News, coming to you from Blog World in Los Angeles. And joining us right now is Jason Falls, the CEO of Social Media Explorer and our good friend from Kentucky. How are you?
I'm doing great, Abby. Thanks for having me back.
You're very welcome. I want to talk to you about, you have a new book out that basically helps people discern from the gimmicks and the actual truths out there. So tell us a little bit about your book and where the inspiration came from.
So, No Bullshit Social Media is the book, and basically the premise started out with, you know, social media purists and evangelists have been telling us for the last 10 years or so that social media marketing is all about engaging with your customers, joining the conversation, being human as a brand, which we don't disagree with. My co-author Eric Deckers and I definitely believe in those philosophical tenets of social media marketing, but there's a second half to the equation, because when you add the word marketing to the phrase social media, you're talking about business, and so you have to make sure that what you're doing ladders up to business goals and business drivers. You have to plan it strategically, you have to be able to measure it, and so we sort of dispel some of those myths of the people who only tell you half the story, and then we go into the 7 business drivers of social media marketing, and it's kind of like a blueprint for strategic planning in the social media marketing space.
So who are some of the people that are sort of telling a lie?
Well, it's not necessarily. Again, the premise of the book is really based on not necessarily people telling lies. They're just not. They're not being. They're saying, look, this is all about joining the conversation. And we've heard some experts in the space say things over the years, not recently really, but over the years say things like you can't sell using social media, and there are rules that you should follow in order to be successful in social media. And our take is the rules only apply if they work for your audience. And so you have to take the advice that the social media experts give you, whether it be Chris Brogan or myself or anybody out there who's sort of evangelizing this stuff. We don't know your business. We don't know your audience, your customers, so on and so forth. You have to take that advice and apply it to your own environment, your own product, your own location, and see if it works. And it may work or it may not. It's the same thing with the statistics that you're seeing from a lot of companies out there. And there's plenty of companies who are producing infographics and webinars and stats about when's the best time to tweet and what's the most optimal number of keywords in a title in a blog post and all that good stuff. And all those infographics and those pieces of data out there are interesting, and they make for good content, but they're not hard, fast rules that you should absolutely follow for your business. What you have to do as an audience member, and one of the things I'm talking about here at Blog World, is you need to be able to discern what is a stat versus what is science. And you need to be able to say, okay, if it's a stat, I have to do the work. I have to do the science to say, does this apply to my audience or does it not? Will it work for my audience or will it not? And that'll just make you a smarter marketer.
Absolutely, and I think that's sort of giving people a bad perception of social media, because there are so many sort of gimmicks going on right now, and people who are oh, you have to do this, and they just want to sell something, sell themselves basically. Exactly. And it's sort of giving the social space a bad name.
Well, and I think it can give the social space a bad name, but again, I don't think these companies are doing anything sinister. I don't think they're necessarily saying we want to mislead people. But when you see a statistic, like I saw one the other day, there was an infographic on that was basically proclaiming that YouTube is killing television. And the statistic that they used as the crux of their argument was that YouTube has grown 41% over the last year in revenue, whereas traditional television has grown in advertising revenue, has grown 8%. And so they're using flawed thinking, because if traditional television is growing in 8% at an 8% rate, but it's a 60-year-old industry, it's a dinosaur, if it's growing at 8%, that's really darn good. And so YouTube is very, very young, and they're going to have that sort of exponential growth in the first 10, 15 years of their existence. So you've got to be able to look at the statistics and know what's the motivation of the people that are putting the statistic out. Are they trying to generate leads for their company, which they probably are. Doesn't mean the information's bad. It doesn't mean you can't use it. It just means you have to ask some better questions before you really apply it to what you're doing.
So people should just be better at discerning. They should just really evaluate what their goals are, what they want to do, and not just say, hey, I'm going to copy exactly what he did, what she did.
And a perfect example is there's some one statistic I've seen out there that the best time to do a Facebook post is early on a Saturday morning because you get more shares early on a Saturday morning. Okay, and that's an interesting statistic. And it's kind of logical too because most people probably check Facebook on weekends, so there's a higher uptick of use on Saturday mornings, so that kind of makes sense. But that statistic, whoever put that out there, and I don't recall who actually put it out, but whoever put that out there, they didn't analyze the content. What kind of posts are shared on Saturday? Is it people sharing their favorite Saturday morning cartoon, or is it business? Because if it's not business related, then the statistic doesn't apply to you, So you just have to kind of take a logical approach to all this stuff and be able to filter the data yourself.
Common sense is still valuable.
we like common sense in the bluegrass.
That's right, we do. That's right. Jason, thank you so much. I appreciate you talking with us.
Abby, thanks so much for having me back.
You're very welcome. This is Abby Johnson with Webper News coming to you from Blog World in Los Angeles.